But feel free to ask him any questions there. Regardless, this is the first round of the early branch. It's going to mainly be infantry only, so there's going to be a bit of a 1.5 km walk-in first. You might see Blue 4 try to counter push and hold the town of Klein, or they're just going to hold their sectors, which appear to be just random points in the woods. What's weird is they only have 60 fortify points for building, so I don't know what the plan is there. But regardless, let's quickly look at the mission breakdown here without, glitching into viewing everything. Otherwise, this was made by Anderson. And it's weird because this says it's a late mission. So I guess they didn't have enough mission submissions this week, so they pulled from some early and some late. But regardless, background, alt history, Soviet Union has commenced a large-scale offensive into West Germany using its border forces. NATO forces in the region are slow to respond, leaving underprepared West German positions to hold the Whipero River. Area of operations, the momentum finally shifts in favor of the Soviet forces following the capture of Molbach. I'm assuming this is part of a campaign because it says Invasion 4, so this is probably a campaign they were running in the late branch, which we don't cover on this channel. So I'm assuming this is all plot points of where that all went, but let's go ahead and read it out. Following the capture of Molbach by the Yugoslavian contingent, with the West German forces in the south in full retreat, the Soviet assault forces turned their attention to the West German remnants attempting to fortify themselves in the Hoth Hulls force. Due to the costly capture of Roche Crossing and the failure to rout the West German forces near, I'm not going to try to pronounce those two words, Russian forces in the center are unable to push forward to the forest. The call once again comes to Yugoslavian contingents as they are requested to push north and hit the unprepared enemy in the flank. The invasion enters its 10th hour as critical Hochholz forest comes under the assault in the West German center. Meanwhile, battered West German forces receive word that their NATO allies are finally mobilized and moving to reinforce the front. Okay, a lot of stuff right there. Anyway, Zad's sector. If the attacking faction has more people in the sector than the defending faction, it starts a 90-second timer. If that 90-second timer elapses completely, then the sector's captured. Defenders can't recapture the sector. And then there's 3 sectors. All 3 have to be taken within the 50-minute round for the attackers to win. Otherwise, mission variables, 1 kilometer view distance, no magnified optics nor NVG equipment, only 60 build points. I want to look at the AOs in a second to see how that goes. I read in the mission file there was no medium anti-tank settings, so we're just going to skip over these. Otherwise, Blue Force uniform are going to be West German forces. To give a quick breakdown of everything, you got your platoon lead, platoon sergeant, squad leader, team leader, auto rifleman assistant, Grenadier IR that have the Hunt IR grenades, 40mm camera grenades you can fire in the air. It turns into a little bird's eye camera for the guy that fired them to use. It's really handy for reconnaissance. Machine gunner, assistant, combat engineer, light anti-tank, medium anti-tank. These roles don't exist anymore. Well, they do in some capacity. This one doesn't exist. This one does. They scrubbed Matt 2 from the roster. Same with RA, RIS, and SNP. They do not exist anymore either, but the DMR does exist. I think there's 1 in every squad now under the command element. For the squad. Otherwise, crew lead, crewmen, pilots, medics, and base kits. Loadout for the Blue 4 guys are going to be G3s or Colt carbines, M9 Berettas as their secondary. Support weapons are going to be a mix of MG42s and MG3s, so basically 7.92 or 7.62 by 51 NATO, because an MG3 is, I think, just a rechambered MG42, but regardless, light anti-tank is going to be single-shot disposable AT4, aka the 136M, and then an HK MP5 or a Colt carbine for crew and aviation, but unless they're giving a crew for the HMG Jeep, I don't think they're going to see any of those slots. Nothing on crew served weapons, and then they get the one little 50 cal Jeep. It's adorable. That gunner is going to be completely exposed, though, probably get sniped off almost immediately. Otherwise, looking at Op 4's uniforms, they get the Yugoslavian Army kits. Their weaponry is going to be a mix of either M92s or M70s, which are just AK clones. I believe they're chambered in 7.62 by 39. Their support weapons are going to be an FM84 or an FN mag, so 2 medium machine guns to counter Blue Force 2 medium machine guns. Interesting. Slightly lower fire rates, but still pretty deadly. Light anti-tank's probably going to be an RPG with a single shot in it, and then crew and aviation doesn't matter because they don't have crew or aviation slots. Otherwise, looking at the roster here, since we're on the Op 4 side, we got Vagrant commanding. He is one of the, I would say, top commanders in FNF because he's one of the guys that often do it. Otherwise, Fred is going to be his 2IC, Grav is 3IC, Norris as the platoon medic, Shy leading Alpha, with Lolo as the marksman. Marksman get M76s. Nice. Still a 10-round 7.62 by 5.4 marksman platform, so almost the same as the SVD, just literally a different gun, but chambered in the same amount. Same magazine, and they have the same amount of bullets, 10 per mag, so it doesn't really matter too much. Otherwise, Jack as the squad's 2IC, Olaf leading Alpha 1 with Slushy, Reaper, Sam, Mutant, and Misfit under him. Oddball leading Alpha 2 with Drago, Arkeen, Michael, Idiot Wolf, Private Waldo, and Twins. Freezno leading Bravo, he's only taking a Bravo medic with him. Bravo 1 has Pingus with Grongzanga, MFL, Mixaku, Giovanni, Albert Q. That's it under him. No Bravo 2. Charlie being led by Valitarian with Zally as the 2IC. Datalore being the marksman and Flaninja being the medic. Skits leading Charlie 1 with Storm, Huller, Zombie Forever, Roofy, Pyros, and Kale. And it looks like there's no Charlie 2. Meanwhile, Nemesis leading Delta with Iander as the group's medic, Kazul with Whiplash and Zentric under Delta 1, Nafs under Delta 2 with Cullis and Cats, and that's the extent of Scandi today. So it's only, 8 guys, enough to run their own squad, but since I think we're below triple digits for EU, it makes sense. Otherwise, looking over at Blue 4 today, we got Depso leading with Timek as his 2IC, Pierce leading Alpha 1 with Steve as his marksman medic, and the marksmen have M14s. Nice. And he's got an E-clan scope on it. Anyway, Coco as the squad medic, Azuki leading Alpha 1, Holton, Newton, Fawns, Wise, and Kabubi Face, Khalil leading Alpha 2 with Heartseer, Roderick, Blast, Alipuz, Renly, and Toxic under him. King leading Charlie with Cake here as the 2IC, Novix as the marksman, and Arma Jesus as the medic. Flux. Actually, no, it's Bayan leading Charlie 1 with Flux, Roster, Artisan, and Bronze under him. Pro Hunter leading Charlie 2 with Aim with Balls, Grogu, Crazy, and Solomon's under him. Ash leading Delta with Major Khan as the medic. Delta 1 being led by Banks with Swallow, Wheaton, and Gazag. And Drury leading Delta 2 with Bard and Cheviak under him. And then Gamma 1, which is going to be a dedicated vehicle crew, is going to be Ghoster and Patriot, driving the little, the adorable little car here. All right. So the timer for capturing the round is 180 seconds. So 2 minutes. No, 3 minutes. All right. Thanks for the clarification, Malin. Otherwise, the sectors are literally a lawn patch of forest here. That is literally unholdable. Like, that is how many? That's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like 850 meters of... It's a defense line, but there's no fortification budget. There's only 60 points for it, which is less than half of the default 125 build points. So unless they completely redid the build point system, that's not a lot to work with at all. And then you got Sector 2, which is another random patch of forest here, which is also kind of unholdable. And then you have Sector 3, which is a military base with a bunch of open fields around it. I don't know, chat. Would you rather hold an 850-meter sector of nothing but open forest? Would you hold a 100-ish by 300-ish meter on a road here? Or would you rather take the military base? Tough call. Tough call. Perfect. Pierce would battle line over it. Of course, Nimi, of course. Well, so here's the thing. Here's why I'm a little against the Forest AOs, because I agree with Azariah. You can make a really good Forest AO, but they do not have the build points for that. 60 build points, to put in perspective of things costing anywhere between like 5 and 15... that doesn't give you a lot of stuff to actually build a proper defensive position on. Like, they could probably, in the middle, build something, but here's the thing about Ad Sector. You only have to get your people in the corner of the sector, and then you can just camp the corner for 3 minutes. And as long as the attackers have more people in that sector than the defenders in the zone for those 3 minutes, they'll take the sector. So if it was the previous way Ad Sector was done, where you had to clear the entire sector, an AO like this would make sense, because you could hide people along, you could just have, just a few guys sprinkled around, and it would force the enemy to literally make a battle line and sweep left to right, with like 1 or 2 squads that support each other. But with how sector control is done now, I feel like this AO is completely You know what I mean? Because this has to rely on you holding the entire line. Because if one part throttles, you're pretty much screwed. So this is not attainable at all. Unless you have like one or two dudes decide, hey, I'm going to throw satchels at the enemy. Just like corner campaign and then try to get away. Because at that point, that's the only strategy I can think of, but they don't allow for things like that. Anyway. Don't get me wrong, I mean, it's nice. You also have access to this massive open area. But they've only got, I don't know, 40 dudes on this side? 40 to 45, because out of a 95-ish player server, you have to give 10% to Op4, which means this is about a... To make 95, this is about a 45 v 50 situation. It would be more biased than that, so it would be like 42 versus 48, 49? Something like that. Bets are still going. Just refresh the page. But, you know, with that high of a number advantage, I mean, all Op4 really needs to do is, if they want, they can just push up to the forest and fight side to side. They could sneak a force around over here and use this flanking area here to try to get in, but we're just going to see Op4 doing a lot of smoke pushing. But it is worth mentioning that you basically have, from this is the end of the AO right here, you have this massive open area along this road, which, you know, has a few gaps, but this is an infantry-only fight. So if Blue 4 had the manpower, they could probably dominate these AOs, but with less people, it's a tough call. Ukraine sim, shush. Will I buy the $8 Twitter tick? No. I don't see a need to get that thing, because, I mean, what I went out to achieve is be almost instantly recognizable in Arma 3 by anyone that plays Arma 3, and I have that, so I don't really need any more of that. I've done what I've needed in that sense, but let's talk back about the mission here. Op4, meanwhile, looks like they're dividing into Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. We might actually see a battle line push by Vagrant. That'll be interesting. But in this AO, it makes sense, because you just have to prod for where the enemy isn't holding the defensive sectors and just go in through there. So, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I think I missed a sub message. Yes, I did. Blunt Traps, thanks for the 2 Tier 1 gift subs. If you got a sub from Blunt, make sure you thank him. Otherwise, I hope you all keep enjoying the operations, and I hope you get a nice kick out of this scenario. Also, Shark, happy early birthday, buddy. I don't know. Beyond that, there isn't really any other way to properly talk about this AO. Op4 is either going to run left or right. They're not going to go through these open areas. They're going to just use the forests to get by. Blue 4, they're totally going to make a defensive line. All right, good luck to them. I could see Op4 splitting into 2 parts. One part goes up through Clen and tries pushing in through this forested area, and the other part pushes around the flank and tries to prod in through over here, because these are just kill zones all the way around. But other variables to consider here for this round particularly. You do have Pepega Pirates in force tonight with 9 of some of their best guys here. Then again, I don't see Legal Action, but I do see Flux, I do see Kane, I do see Arma Jesus. And I do see Ban, who, you know, he's his own guy, and he would be, in my opinion, the best player on these days. No Legal Action, though. And no Guy Fieri. Those are the 2 that are missing. Op4, they do have, you know, Scandia Recon with them, but in a diminished capacity. A lot of these players are the 2nd or 3rd gen players. Actually, I don't even see... I don't know if Cats and Cullis there, I would call them 2nd or 3rd gen, but... There were 2 recruitment waves with Scandia Recon. And that's why I break them apart with that. So, Whiplash was part of Recruitment Wave 1. Purton was part of Recruitment Wave 1. And then I think Cullis Cats were all part of Recruitment Wave 2, so... No Flavor Town, yep. But otherwise, I do think this is going to be a bit of a blotted out AO in terms of time because Op4 needs to spend 10 minutes maneuvering into the AO. They're going to hit a brick wall with Blue 4's defense line. I do appreciate Blue 4 at least leaving some units in Sector 3 to hold that area out, but otherwise they're trying to make a battle line here. But I guess the question becomes, where would you set up your defensive lines as Blue 4? I'm going to be honest, having a fire team here, a fire team here, and a fire team here wouldn't be too bad to hold that entire area. But this is going to be a major push point over here. And you already got Op4 charging in. And we'll just have to see where they move in here. Oh, Joe, man, I remember running virtual machines in college for cybersecurity coursework. Why is Roofy just spinning? Oh, God. Malin. Malin, is stamina still...
You ran out of stamina to force you to fall into the ground. And you'd start to, like, black out and stuff when you talk.
Malin, is stamina still an issue, quote-unquote?
Alright, boy, stamina break.
It's not an issue now, in your opinion? All right, cool. Just making sure, because I remember a lot of people were complaining about that. Because I was about to say, if they still have that old stamina system, Op4 is going to take like 15 minutes to get over there with breaks, because, ugh, you know? But yeah, cybersecurity stuff. If I wasn't doing YouTube, I'd be doing cyber right now. That's what I got my degree for, so...
Yeah,
you know... You won't see people walking around asthmatic. Oh, what the hell? Asthmatic AF, but they won't be able to sprint 200 meters in a line nonstop, which makes sense. However, when you give the players 1.5 kilometers of distance to cover, I don't know. I'm always a fan of less maneuver time, but the choice of maneuvering across different routes, but, you know... You shouldn't wait 20 minutes to get into your AO, you know? Have the fun. Minimize the setup. Yeah, I'd cover OFCRA, which, by the way, we didn't cover OFCRA because I wanted to go out with Bloodwing for dinner, but I forgot, you know, British Daylight Savings Time, it pushed them back, so I wouldn't have had the time to get dinner, do OFCRA, and then go to POG. So I had to make a decision. So that's why we didn't cover off-gray yesterday. Nim, is that a jab at me or is that a jab at another player? Because for all I know, it's a jab at me because I had an op where I made people do that. I've had an op where I've made people do almost everything these days, so I always expect it to be a jab. But yeah, people just taking stamina breaks, slowly moving up. They've moved roughly 800 meters from their starting point. No, about 500. Some a little up to 800, though, but looks like all of them are going for the town to then move in on this area, and then Blue 4 Alpha is starting to set up over here. Yes, the Iander op. I don't know. In terms of Zeus ops, I have a lot of things I need to put on paper. Or no, actually, not to lie. I have them on paper. I just need to build them. And I think tonight I might actually, after the 40K op, do some building. Because I have... I'll say it now. So I had a really interesting Predator op idea for the SOG Prairie Fire dev team to run, but their head honcho was taking six weeks off to do some stuff. Now that he's back, he wants to get it back to being super serious, which I'm totally fine with. But he said maybe for April Fool's Day or a holiday, we can do something like that. So if you want to see some Vietnam veterans fight a Predator, you're going to have to wait till either Christmas or April Fool's. But I have that idea. I have the script work, and it's ready. I just Have to find the op slot, but I have to make another major event for them. We have an idea for that. I gotta build. There's some one-offs I need to build. There's just a lot of Zeusing I gotta make and get set for. And then I have a lot of editing to do as well, so, you know.
Thank you, Michael.
Do you know you can jump and you don't use stamina? It's a fun fact.
So I think this is the second stamina break starting to form. 5 minutes into the round for, which, you know, it's not bad in terms of time. Another 5 without resistance, they'd make it to Sector 1. So I'll retract my statement. I thought it would take them a little longer. You know, you're right, Ravetti. If you go in a jogging pace and lower your weapon, usually you do not drain stamina, but that is also dependent on how the settings are set for performance. If the performance setting isn't high enough, you might actually still drain stamina. So I do have a next MCO and another checkpoint RP also on the docket. I just want to get them done, but I'm hoping this weekend we do a lot of op dev streaming. And then I know there's a game out there called Dark Tide that's coming out this month that a buddy of mine really wants to just binge. And I kind of want to binge it with him too. And then there's another game called Core Keeper, which I want to get Bloodwing into because that's been my go-to casual game. But there's a lot to do. There's also a few other things that I've been saying I want to get into that I haven't had the opportunity yet. Because my life is literally a back and forth pendulum of I'm feeling great on cloud 9, getting everything done, and then something happens and completely screws me over.
Yeah.
So there's a lot on the docket. We just have to get there, essentially.
You know what sucks, Sam?
Love how Drago is up here just running ahead. Looking at some of the blue 4 over here. They've set up defensive positions. You got Khalil up here on point.
Contacto,
Oh, they just called contact.
190. We have enemies 190. Enemigos en 190.
Start shooting.
Seems like they're approaching us.
So I'm curious if Kabubi's set up explosive traps here. Because this is a really great angle to view anything that, you know, comes up. So if he has them set, great. If he doesn't, oh well. But this would be a great place to hide a machine gun. Prone right here. Just at the edge of the dirt. And then shoot people in the kneecaps. But it looks like they're already starting to pull back. Blue 4, they've got a flanking force right here, which, again, a really good thing to cover with, but there's 2 routes that can be utilized, and Op 4 has just decided to go all eggs in one basket here, which makes sense, because they only have those 2 choices. So you see him shooting at targets over here from the top of that dirt mound. He's got a full squad coming up on his right side, though. You know, Fives, I've thought of something like that. Because the 228th really liked the Halo Predator op I did for them. I'm going to write that one down, actually. Write that one down. Because I'm looking for more horror op ideas, but they're different from my norm. And something like that would be pretty dope. So Kabubi's pulling back. He didn't get any kills there. Op 4 is going to continue their push. Blue 4 doing a staggered retreat here. They've set up a new defensive line. And it looks like you're going to have a squad of Op 4 following the forested area over here. Might get pinned down over here by fortifications and be forced to pull back. But they could also use this rock wall to move in. But already we're seeing some machine gun fire overhead here, but as you can see, the rock wall can help them out while they're prone. The Flash retaliating with a spray of his own over here. And then this is where we see some of the defensive positions dug by Blue 4 with their limited 60 build points. They're actually able to make a few good defensive lines here. Good for them. You can, Fies. I wrote it down on some paper, actually. Which, by the way, I need to also be writing highlights down. I completely forgot to do that. Otherwise, you got Blue 4 still pulling back over here. Yeah, right, Fives? It's hard to replicate something like that in Arma 3, though, but... Alright, they're doing their best to pull back here. Wait, Op 4 is basically putting most of their forces through the forested area. They're leaving a force on the outside. I doubt we'll see anything trying to do a far flank here. You've got the Blue 4 Jeep potentially going to mount up and move over to assist. Charlie might also pull around. But unless Op 4 commits Alpha over to this side, holding that flank for that amount of manpower isn't really going to be beneficial for Blue 4. But it allows them to come in later in the AO and try to counter attack as Op 4 pushes in, potentially hitting their exposed flank. So I wouldn't call them out of it just yet. But let's see. So we actually already had a few people die back all the way back here. Something shot these guys to shit. I have no idea what would have caused that. That would have had to have been Alpha on Blue 4. Yet, as I checked, Blast has gotten a kill, and, yeah, I have no idea what would have caused those, because those are really far back in the AO. Weird. Interestingly enough, you got Delta now taking pot shots over at Delta here. Blue 4 Delta versus Op 4 Delta. These guys trying to stay in the small tree line here. We see some trenches getting dug. This is just going to be an extended firefight to pin Delta right here until they decide to move. But there is a machine gunner right here trying to pin them down. You got some pretty nasty enfilade fire coming in from these two angles on Blue 4. I don't know, that's a lot going down. Otherwise, looks like Alpha is fully pulling away for Blue 4's side, and you got the rest of Op 4's line coming in. This leaves Charlie with a dilemma here.
Holy shit, man.
Not sure if they're going to decide to come around and reinforce the line. This is Pepega, though. So Pepega could easily come in and do a massive flanking action. And you got Flux right here, prone with an MG, waiting to see if Op 4 comes around, but we might just see a massive battle line start to take root here. Op 4, meanwhile, they're doing a pullback here. They got some forces trying to cover them, but yeah, this is just untenable. So we might see them fully pull back and then go around. Colas, I think he was prone to take a stamina break, but most of the tree line's going to help him out. There is a little bit of an opening right here, which creates a danger zone. Yeah. You got Cats alone over there, but now you've got the Op 4 line starting to come up. It's going to be fighting with this Blue 4 line here, but just look at the amount of units you have comparable on this line. And the reason for that is Blue 4 has a full squad on the flank and another full squad defending a different sector. So Op 4 could break through, but you are starting to see a Charlie counterattack here with a machine gun overwatching.
I was shooting myself.
Really funny.
Oh, what?
Op 4 RPGs firing into the tree line here, but this is Blue 4's only real hope, I would say. If they can have Charlie sweep the players left or right here, the eastern to the southern flank, That's where they'll get their greatest advantage. And they're leading with
like
a marksman.
260 front.
Yeah, unfortunately, Slushy has an M84. Oh, Novix with the loop-de-loop! A lot of grenades being chucked back and forth here. Charlie for Blue 4 doing its best to come in. Alpha might start sending forces along its flank to go check it out. You want this Blue 4 line to keep engaging. You got one dude in the middle of the road for some silly reason. That was a bad call. Got some GLs firing in. Now here's the deal. If Op 4 immediately turns and stops this Charlie force from moving in, that's going to still leave plenty of forces to push in. But now you're starting to see the power dynamic shift here as Blue 4 and Op 4 close the CQC. King getting knocked out by grenades. I think a friendly grenade actually killed him there. Oh, there's another Blue 4 guy here that just died. I think that was a blue on blue. Got Novix on 3 kills, trying to push up on his own. He just knocked Twins out. Fighting Drago's machine gun. And there he goes. Pierce is squad leading in Blue 4. He's not commanding. Hey, Slash. We just watched to get Arena around the Rosy there. So yeah, not a lot of Blue 4 guys are remaining here. Most didn't even commit to the push. You got Artisan, who did that blue on accident, now coming around. He's got that -1. And Op 4's reconsolidated Delta into their left flank here. And I think they're going to either commit to a smoke push or just wait for Blue 4 to drain all their ammo. Yes, Slush, you did get a kill. So many ghillie men. Shut up, Pumpkin. Daisy jokes. So Op 4 might be trying to pull away there, reconsolidate its forces, and push up this route and get a good supporting line going. So far, it's too early to call who's going to win. But if Op 4... I don't know why they're smoking the side. They're going to want to smoke this route to go in, because smoking here to charge in the open would be suicide. That's fair, Slushy. So you got some GL smoke going as well. Blue 4 doing their best here to hold what lines they have, firing at who they can. Op 4's got a little bit of room to move up here in defilade cover, but it runs out right here. Now you got Artisan coming around here. Might run into Misfit, but Misfit's watching his sector. And a posture check and hydrate. Yeah. But it looks like Blue 4 are gonna not counterattack. They're instead pushing up over here to then get in the defensive sector. So I think Op 4 is eventually going to overpower here. Now you've got Alpha 2 on a good defensive line here. They got a fortification. They have a machine gunner in a really great spot. But how much can they handle? You got Bant, Flux, and Artisan now pushing that flank again. And you got ground commanders over here trying to spot the line that Blue 4's creating. But here's the Op 4 push. It's a lot of blind suppression here. You got one KIA up here. Marksman on point, doing his best to watch these fortified positions. Toxic just got hit by a GL. You got Scandy coming up as well. Blue 4 still slowly sweeping here. All of Op 4 is going to try to go up this area. And they're slowly going to make ground. This is going to cause Blue 4 to turn this force over here and try to reinforce the sector. And you're going to have a lot of line fighting here. You might have Op 4 divert a squad early on, because I don't think they're going to commit everything on the sector because of its limited size. Grenades being thrown up, getting caught on that bunker line. Some getting over, though. Grenades being thrown back. That one could do some serious damage. People were just far enough away. Bad frag right there. And Casual manages to kill a buddy with that one. Nemesis now pushing. Naf's leading the charge here. You got another smoke grenade set being pushed over here to try to stop that tower from firing. More grenades being thrown over. That one's also a smoke grenade. AT being fired on Naf's position. I think they saw him and think he's an enemy. So you still have this force right here. I guess they're not set in a position to harass this side, so I guess they're just waiting on reserve. You got Op 4 up here using this hard line to cover. Another grenade thrown. Does some damage to this group. Toxic shot in the back, knocked unconscious again. Yeah, we could have seen some Overwatch fire from over here. Op 4 suppressing these positions as the force closed in, but we didn't really see any of that coordination. It was just up to the spearhead to brute force it, which they did because Blue 4 didn't have that many defenders, but it just shows there might be a little bit of a lack of coordination here. Ground is giving a plan, but it's not clear enough. That's another grenade. More grenades being thrown. They're bouncing off the trees. They're down to 3 defenders here. Toxic's back awake. And there's Sector 1 being captured because enough Op 4 guys are entering it. Blue 4 has entered it, so now Blue 4 is immediately pushing into the sector. And it looks like Flux and Bayan, the 3 of them, pulled back around. And those 2 are cut down. So yeah, you got 3 bodies back here. Toxic's unconscious once again. I think these guys might have blown themselves up to their own grenades because Blue 4 was already dead at that point. That's kind of funny. Got some more fire coming into here. More AT being fired up yonder. I'm really surprised this Vic is not trying to utilize this area here and harass them. Now you got the prompts coming up. So this shows Op 4, if they get everyone in the sector right here, they can capture this sector by default and force Blue 4 to then do a counterattack. And that's why I feel like this sector is a bit lacking here, because Blue 4 doesn't have the manpower to hold if Op 4 pushes all their forces along one tangent. So we see that box being filled, which means Op 4 has more people in here than Blue 4. If Blue 4 consolidate everyone, then maybe they'll be able to hold it, but Op 4 have the manpower, just push everyone in. Yeah, right, 05s. Now, skull count-wise, I mean, Blue 4 have lost almost the entirety of their Alpha Fire teams. Op 4 have lost a good chunk of Bravo 1, a good chunk of Charlie 1, a good chunk of Delta 1. But objectively, Op 4 still maintains the number advantage. Op 4 just need to be smart and keep their infantry in the sector. And Blue 4 at this point, they need to counterattack, because if they don't, then the sector is going to be taken by default. Alright, so now you have the HMG Jeep trying to come up. Getting a little bit of air there because of the dug trench here. Sector's halfway captured, just another 90 seconds. But Blue 4, they're slowly moving up. Here's the thing though, Op 4 pushing all these forces out might actually knock the sector out from being captured. You've got, why are you crossing in the open? What the? Yep, there you go. So there goes those 3 minutes. So Op 4, I'm a little worried about because now they might just bypass Sector 1 and go to 2 and 3 without actually capturing Sector 1. But that has completely reset the timer. Fred takes him out. Op 4 were able to get away with this, I think, because Blue 4 was either too far back or they were tunnel visioned in this area. Now the timer's reset. And you've got forces bypassing the sector to go, oh, this is horrible. So if Blue 4 commits to a counterattack right now as Op 4 are pushing forces to other sectors, at this rate, this group's going to take Sector 2, and then they're either going to go help take Sector 3 or they're going to pull back to Sector 1. But this is starting to defeat Op 4 in detail as the attacking faction, which means the leftover force at Sector 1 might be sufficiently weakened enough for Blue 4 to attack, but now they're pulling back. What? I guess they're fearful that the entirety of Op 4 has moved in here and is pushing them, so maybe they're thinking if they push to Sector 2, they'll have a better advantage, but we're only halfway through the round at 24 minutes remaining. At this point, you can't really stall for time. So I don't really get what's going on here. Op 4 left the sector again. So Blue 4 just pulls back and holds that strip of land all the way in the far corner. I think they'll be fine. But again, people aren't realizing the concept of sector control at the moment. So we're about to see a prompt for Sector 2 because when the first guy gets in there, Petrovsky just got blown away. Yeah, so Blue 4 is just going to hold this area because they've set up these defensive lines here. You're going to see the prompt for Sector 2 in a second. And there's Sector 2 being captured. I really don't know what the plans are here, because now you got this force pulling north. Now I think they might have realized that Sector 2 just got prompted to being taken, so they're looking at what to do. Yeah, they're pulling out. To go where, though? Because there's nowhere for them to go, because Sector 2 is being taken. So the only remaining sector is Sector 3. So now Sector 1's going to be taken as long as there's a single Op 4 guy. I'm a big fan of you always play the objective, not the PvP itself. The PvP is important, don't get me wrong, but Blue 4 is just throwing the match, and now they're going completely out of the zone. This is going to allow Op 4 to take these two sectors and just push into Sector 3. You know, that's a good question. Who's leading the... You can draw your own conclusions.
Run. They're close, keep running. Regroup on me. They are very close.
So I guess the only important fight, because Blue 4 with, what, a minute remaining on either sector, they're going to stay there. Op 4 just need to take this force, reinforce this group, and they'll be able to take Sector 3. Flux moving back after giving covering fire. But I will reinforce the point I made earlier of I think these AOs are way too big for the player count we have on tonight. And the late branch gets less numbers than the early branch, and this was intended to be a late branch mission, so I have no idea how they would have done it. But who the heck knows? Blue 4 has 2, 4, 5, 7 dudes defending this sector. They might have had more, and they could have been killed off, but I'm not... Oh, I do see a body up here, so I had 8, give or take. They had 9, actually. Wheaton's dead, too. So there's sectors 1 and 2 taken, so now Op4 just has to move to sector 3. Now, here's the deal. I think these guys are going to follow the contact. And then these guys are probably going to go and reinforce. But then again, let's see who's over here. It's Scandia Recon players. So they might just pop smoke and then go right to the last sector because they know how to play objective instead of PvP. These guys might see that this is taken and do something like this to regroup or reinforce. But Op4 is just going to beeline it to sector 3 at this point. You still have the HMG car here. And you got a big open field, so... Op4 is going to pretty much have to regroup to push. Blue 4, though, could push the rear of Op4's force and still prevent them from pushing through, but this is all going to depend on who regroups first, with 19 minutes remaining. It could be anyone's game out of the slowness to regroup here. And Blue 4 Command is still alive. They're over here at this position, so... You got some GL smoke popped over here to help block their view, which partially worked, but... My question now is, where does Op4 push in? You got 2 staggered groups. You got Bay all on his own. The defenders cannot recapture sectors once they're taken. Bay might go on a killing spree here for all I know and turn it around.
I mean, I don't think how that works.
But now you got Op4 trying to push up to the line here, regrouped, but you got a Blue 4 group right behind them. Yeah, so Op4 are really doubling down on the momentum here. Just my question becomes, how is Op4 going to cross this open area? They got a slightly longer route here, they got a shorter route, but then they have a secondary amount of open... I don't know, man. We have another Blue 4 guy that's been picked off right here, so that's the third. I mean, if Op4 just keep picking off Blue 4, then at that point, they're going to run out of forces to hide here, so... Wonder if that's been Lolo on the marksman. Nope, he does not have any kills.
Let's wait here for the main push, and then once the main push starts, I'm going to smoke it.
They could also smoke the area itself. But yeah, I mean, you got a sandwich here at this point, but if the attack goes horribly and Op4 gets stalled, then there is enough forces on the rear of Op4 to hit them in the ass and then get them stuck in really bad positions. But I think Vagrant's able to rally everyone here on Op4, and he's starting to just command everything properly. Sam and Lolo are in the perfect spot, though, to not only deliver marksman rounds, but deliver smoke rounds onto the base itself. However, I think he's out of smokes. He's stuck to flares. And then with one group suppressing, that leaves room for potentially Bravo 1 in this force to push in. How many defenders are we left with? Should be like 6 or 5. Oh my gosh, wait. Yeah, no, 6 left. Started with like 9 or 10. Another guy over here died, so there's been 4 KIA. There's the 15-minute call. AT being fired, it hits the tower. No damage visible. Now you're starting to have some Op4 charge through. They gotta be quick, because if they're not, Blue 4 is gonna be right behind them. You're gonna have another push right here. See, at this point, though, Op4 is gonna get in here, it's gonna turn to CQC, and then they're gonna turn around and stop any Blue 4 from counterattacking them, as Blue 4 are gonna be caught shooting some of these Op4 guys in their rear. Flux might line up to get a kill on Misfit here. There's the 50 cal car pushed up.
Let that thing do its reload.
You hear explosives going off. Blue 4 down to 4 defenders now. 2 more have been taken out. Valitarian's gotten his foot in the door. But as soon as 4 other Op4 guys get in here, unless more Blue 4 guys die, it's going to start the 3-minute timer. Blue 4's southern group is not even close to being in position. At least the northern group is now starting to get online here and fire on the rear. There's so much smoke going out that it's limiting the effectiveness of the smoke grenades here. You have Jack running up trying to take out this car, but at least he's distracting it so the rest of his guys can get in here. And within 10 seconds, you're going to start seeing that timer tick down. Great suppressive fire from the open. And grenade central's going off. So now you got Blue 4 shooting the rear of Op4's element coming in. There's the pop-up. And I think enough Op4 are going to be able to get in this sector where it's going to turn around. Now you got Patriot being gunned down by Jack here. Jack is taking fire, though. And the other guy was shot. Depso goes down as Blue 4 command. No, I agree with where the Jeep was. It was to help hunker this area down. It was doing a good job of that, but one Op4 guy pushed up and stopped it. But Blue 4 was just overwhelmed every step of the way. Looks like Blue 4's gunner woke back up. No, it's Op4. The guy got back up, now he's on the gun, and he's shooting at Blue 4 guys that he sees. This exploded, caused an error. Might have been the porta potty exploding, but this is GG. Now you got Blue 4 trying to counterattack, but Op4's Cullish just killed Flux. Now he's hitting Arma Jesus. And he eventually knocks him out. He gets killed, but not before killing another guy. 2 minutes left on this sector, but Blue 4 doesn't have anything left, and now you just see Blue 4 desperately trying to push. In that time, Pierce himself has made much more distance. As I predicted, Op4 is going to get in and then just stop any Blue 4 guys counterattacking from their rear. They kept trying to shoot him as he drove up. Arma Jesus has moved up. These guys haven't noticed that, but Arma Jesus is about to get him. Gets a kill. It's just not enough time.
Send in GOAT Team 6 now.
Come on, you blues.
Donnie, I appreciate the 28-month resub, but I think this is GG. In all honesty, just confusion on both sides really messed with this one. And it allowed Op4 to just do a sweeping attack. So, oh well. Little bit of a round for round one in my opinion, but hey, we could see that turn around. I do appreciate Arma Jesus doing his best to get the headshots where he can, but Sector's gonna run out in 10 seconds. And Arma Jesus is cut down by Giovanni, as I think he got a 6th kill right there, but there it is.
We did it. GG.
Captured by Zone. Ended up being 3, 6, 10 versus 4 in the end. Do I think Blue 4 had a chance with another 5 minutes? Arguably not. But oh well, you know, decent round 1 opening. We'll see how rounds 2 and 3 fare, but